Hello again. Something a bit different today. Rather than point the camera at myself or at the layout, I just wanted to share a little bit about the program that I use for operating Brett, which I've referred to before, which is called Switchlist. And as you can see, I've got my web browser open here to the page where it's made available by this Robert Bowditch for free. It's available for the Mac, and as stated on the web page, probably the best way to do it would be through the App Store. There's also an online Google group which is linked to from his page, which is probably worth looking at as well. Lots of questions, and as you can see, the author is actively involved in that as well. I'm certainly by no means an expert, and I haven't spent as much time as perhaps I ought to getting to learn this program, but I've kind of just dived in there and had a bit of a play, and it seems to work okay for me. So rather than overcomplicate it, no point trying to fix what's not broken. Okay, and I've opened the program up, and as you can see, there's two or three little windows here. This one here seems to be a fairly common thing, and I think it's basically to do with your car capacity. And as the program's trying to work out how many cars you can get onto your train, it'll list the ones that it can't fit onto the train. It concerned me at first when I first started setting this up, but actually now I don't pay any attention to that. And when I've opened one or two of the example layouts up, it's done exactly the same thing, so I don't think it's necessarily anything I'm doing wrong. This little window here I'll come back to in a moment, but this is the main thing here. And I'll just briefly go through the sort of main tabs, if you like, and one or two of the features that I find really good about this. As you can see, it mentions Brett there. That's because this is the one that I've already set up. But you can have a number of layouts set up, and there are some examples as well. Not sure if you'd ever need to do that. I'll start at the far end here with style. This is one of the nice features actually about this program, is that you can change the style of the reports and the switch list and so on that you want to print out if you choose to print them out. And in fact, you can even, if you want to get into editing, you can change this to something that suits you completely. Personally, I'm quite happy with the handwritten style. It works very nicely for me. It's very easy to read. The layout itself, I've basically assigned the name of the layout, which is Brett, the date that you're operating, and I've set mine in, I've gone for 1982. I thought that's roughly the kind of period I want to be looking at. And then a couple of options here about fairly self-explanatory. You can assign whatever you like as regards car names and car types and so on. And as you can see, I've made up a couple which aren't really the sort of standard AR classifications, but they work for me, and they made my switch list easy to read. So it's a simple case of adding cars on here. Trains, on my layout, there's only ever going to be one train, which is the local, and when I set this up, I needed to set up the maximum train length, which is obviously limited by the length of the fiddle track that I'm using. And again, you can specify a number of trains, types of cars, what places it's going to stop. And again, for my layout, it's pretty straightforward because there's only one location, which is Brett. This I'll probably come back to in a moment, because this is where you need to be setting a lot of the activities and so on. Yards is fairly self-explanatory. Again, I've just got the one yard which is off layout, which is Fiddle Creek, and that'll be my fictitious off layout yard where cargoes go to and from. The industries are the industries that are represented on the layout here, as well as the workbench, which is clearly off the layout, and which I've assigned for using cars that need some attention and so on. I've got Northwest Lumber. Set the spur length, which again is pretty crucial, because that's going to define how many cars you can have being sent to that industry. You can specify doors and select the option that cars have to be spotted at specific doors and so on, which I haven't gone into yet. The town here, the location, has been set in this previous window, where I've basically got the workbench, which is offline, Fiddle Creek, which is the staging yard, if you like, and then Brett, which is the layout itself. If I had a larger layout, then obviously I could add more towns, and then within those towns set various industries as well. Freight cars is a list of the freight cars that I have available to me, the actual models. And again, it's a fairly straightforward case of adding to this list the reporting marks, the cargo, and to start with its current location. This will change as you go through the operations, and the program changes that location for you. The cargo is something I'm still playing with because I'm not sure whether it's best to assign specific cargoes to specific cars, or whether actually better just to put unassigned and allow the program to work out what kind of car to dispatch. At the moment, I'm just trying with all the lumber and grain cars being assigned to that specific cargo, and then box cars and so on just being left as unassigned, and it seems to be working out okay. One of the other nice features is reports, and this is quite a good way of catching up every now and again and just making sure that you seem to be on track. Cargo report, for example, is a particularly good one. Not sure how clear that is on the screen, but again, you can print all of these off, which will give you a good indication of all your industries, exactly what kind of cars are coming in and out for over the week, to see if you've got the right kind of balance going on. This window here is a really nice little feature which I've used once or twice, but isn't really that useful for me. I guess if I had a larger layout it would be. And basically, by just ticking that box, I've got an iPad, and I think it'll work with an iPhone and probably with a Wi-Fi enabled iPod as well. Entering that URL into Safari or whatever browser, and it gives me a switch list that I can use there and then on the iPad, and it connects to the application on the Mac itself, which is a really nice little feature actually. I don't really use it as nice as it is because it just doesn't. It's not really useful for such a small layout as mine. Usually for operation, once I've got this all set up and I'm not fiddling about with it, if I want to run a session on Brett, the first thing I'll do, and the first page it comes to when I start the program up, is this overview here. Again, I'm going to close the problems thing down. We've got a session that's ready, if you like. That's the train, the number of cars that are on that train at the moment. I'll click on switch list, and this brings up the switch list for me for today, which is April the 22nd, 1982. List of cars that need to come to and from the layout. When I finish with that, I'll click on train completed. If I felt there was only, for example, sometimes I'll only have one or two cars. If I want to add a couple more cars, I can add those on. When I've completed the switch list and finished that session, I usually close the application down, save it. Next time, hit on start new session, it'll move forward to the next day's local and generate the traffic for that. So far, it seems to be working okay the way I've got things set up, and I think the trick is probably to run a few sessions and then come back and tweak the rates on your cargoes of cars per week, how long it takes for loads to unload and that kind of thing, and see if you get any kind of choke points, or if you feel that a particular industry is getting too much activity and others aren't, then I think this is the area to play around with. And at that point, it's probably a good idea to go and have a look at the forums and have a look at some of the help that's available there, which, I have to say, I haven't really needed to do so far. So that's it, a very quick overview, something I wanted to share. If you've got a Mac and a small layout and you're looking for ways to operate it, I'd strongly recommend having a look at this. It's not going to cost you anything apart from a little bit of time and effort. As I say, it's very customisable, very easy to use, and top marks to Rob for sharing it with the community as well. So I hope again that's been interesting or useful, and thanks for watching. Cheers.